If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option, as Sori says. 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed, a child shall lead them. He's talking to Tony right now?
To buy our merch, I was, yeah. But...
Okay, guys, here we go. Song number 1. Is this an XU song or a Epic Underground song?
Okay, so the first song that we have is Stormkeep The Seer. Stormkeep is a black metal band from Denver.
I got the wrong one.
Colorado.
Okay, well, keep talking then.
That combines melodic black metal with symphonic elements and dungeon synth. This band placed very highly in a few polls before winning here, including our AOTY poll. This is from their debut album released last year. The lyrics are here in the
AOTY? Like Attack on Titan? Was it based on Attack on Titan?
You know, I was hoping that you weren't going to ask me that.
Why?
Because I don't know what it means. Because they've told us before what that means, and I don't remember.
They told you what AOTY meant?
Yeah, we read it in one of the other... I'm pretty sure we did. We read it in one of the other...
Archero, what does AOTY mean?
Just tell us. Quickly. So we
Quickly!
can leave this uncomfortable moment.
Why is it uncomfortable? Just
I
because
don't
you don't know what something means?
Well, when
Album
somebody's...
of the year. AOTY.
See, now you remember them saying it?
Album of the year. No.
Oh, they did.
Pray for me. Gia has a BTS song stuck in my head and I can't take it anymore. Oh, well, speaking of BTS, I might not be able to help you with that, miss. There might be some BTS on the way. All right, guys, song number 1.
This is from the Extreme Underground.
Stormkeep.
Kellandros is the leader.
Oh, Kellandros always comes
Stormkeep The Seer.
The Seer. Get ready for some dungeon synth from the band Stormkeep. Let's do this shit. The Seer. Let's go. Remind me to tell Lindsay we need to add some synth to our stuff.
Huh?
Remind me to tell Lindsay we need to add synth.
Oh. name of the band is Stormkeep.
Stormkeep.
The name of the song is The Seer.
Seer.
That was very interesting.
The name of that book? Wizard's First Rule, Terry Goodkind. I read 3 books in that series. Wizard's First Rule, I think, is the first. He was called the Seeker. I think the series was the Seeker series. I don't think anybody knows what I'm talking about, but it was by this guy named Terry Goodkind, and the main character. The Sword of Truth series. There it is. The Sword of Truth series. Yeah.
Wow, Neil. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so it's the Sword of Truth series with Terry Goodkind. Wizard's First Rule, I think, was the first one. And you're following this guy. I forgot the name of the main character. But he's a wizard, and it turns out he's a war wizard. And I don't want to give spoilers. Like I said, I only read 3 books. It's funny because I was reading that book when I met you at that Bible study.
For real?
And the girl character I always had as you. So I'd read the book and I just have the girl character because she was really powerful. Like she was whatever, and she didn't take shit from anybody, and she was very mean to the main character at the beginning, which is also Richard is the main character. Yeah. And then the bad guy was a really, really evil guy, and it just got there's too much sexual violence. I just stopped reading the book.
Oh.
I don't it was too descriptive, and
I feel like it's hard enough watching it in a show.
Yeah.
But to have to read all the description.
You know how my mind is. So,
yeah.
So I couldn't get past that. I mean, I can barely get whatever. But anyway.
Yeah.
It the vibe of the whole thing got me it's the seer, not the seeker. The guy's name Richard was the seeker, I think, in the book. I think that was one of his names, was the seeker or something like that. So not the seer. So this is a different book, different universe, whatever. But it reminded me of that, and but yeah, like I said, I think the girl's name was Colin or something, Khalan. Colin Omnell. It's funny, I don't remember the guy's name. I think it was Richard, but the girl I remembered. But the girl I had, it was basically you.
That's so cute.
Goodkind was an objectivist, and that philosophy got fairly heavy-handed in later books. Yeah, well, and I'm sure it was a great series, and I'm sure he did a great job. I couldn't get through it. Shout out to Dwayne. Dwayne said, "How come you're not wearing any Beatles shirts?"
Oh, well, we've never received any.
I said, "Get me a black John Lennon shirt. I'll rock it for it."
Give me a black
All right. So we're not talking about Richard, but that's kind of where it was. Okay.
So sonically, this was really interesting because it had, the type of vocals I'm not really a giant fan of, but they had
second wave black metal vocals.
They had a lot of really cool sounds that they added into it, and it just gave it this, you felt like you were a part of something that was much bigger, like there was a story going on. It's weird because when I was reading, unless I'm not seeing the lyrics, I'm just seeing a lot of description, words that descriptive words, but I didn't understand a storyline, but it felt like a story was taking place as the song was playing.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
A wizard, a wanderer, a traveler, searcher, seer, sojourner. See how many descriptions are just in the first one. Riding through the woods, snow and mountains, plains of lingering frost, wolves and north winds. I remember in school they used to have us write a you had to sometimes take out all the adjectives from a sentence just to see what was left, to see how bland the sentence would become.
That's interesting.
If you did that in this song, there would not be much left. If you took out all the adjectives.
Yeah. Daniel pointed this out, so did Kel, that the lyrics were intelligible.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it gets so Cookie Monsterish or so black metalish that you really can't
make it out. Yeah.
They're just, I'm not really a fan of that because I focus so much on lyrics. I'm not a fan of not being able to intelligibly hear the words. So I definitely like that. I felt like that's one of the reasons I love Magua so much. Is they're a black metal band, but I know exactly what they're saying. That's what I love about them. It's like that clarity, because to me the lyrics are add so much to it because of it accesses it turns on the TV in your mind, right? Like so what happened?
Well,
because if I say pink elephant, right? Immediately is a pink elephant's popping up in your head, right?
Yeah.
And so if I just say blah, nothing pops up in your head.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not just that. There's music behind it. And so if your mind is creative in the elements of just sound, you're going to create a story, or you're going to create something inside of your mind.
That's true.
Because of the channel, I too try to focus on the lyrics, because, well, if you and I didn't do this together, I would never break down the lyrics, and all I would do is just say what I thought about the song, or how I felt about it, or what I saw during it. But my reviews would be very short, because I like to just feel a song, but I try to focus on the lyrics to be able to talk more about it and stuff. But personally, when I'm listening to music, the first couple of times that I listen to a song, I don't necessarily need to see the lyrics unless you're showing me a song. But if I'm going to experience it the first time by myself, I don't need to see the lyrics. I want to just feel the song, and if I like the feel, then I want to know the lyrics. Yeah.
I'm trying to get to where the guy's trying to take us. What's up, Clarissa? I'm trying to get to when I look. So that's what I'm saying. That's why the lyrics are important to me. Obviously anybody can fill in the blanks, but for me, when the lyric pops up, it turns on the TV to the channel that the author was trying to get us, and it's important to me to be able to be like, okay, that's what you were trying to say. Okay, I got you.
Right.
Obviously now we've got the lyrics right in front of us, so you can do that, but I do think that's a weakness in a lot of bands. They're missing out because to some degree, the lyrics themselves create that kind of heaviness. The opening song with Slipknot, "Enemy, show me what you want to be. I can handle anything, even if I can't handle you. Either way, it better be. Don't you..." The lyrics themselves, fuck the shit, I'm sick of it, you're going down, this is a war. That itself is heavy. That itself creates an aggression that you would have even if there were no guitars or drums.
Yeah.
That's some shit you say when you're about to get busy. So when you put that into the context of the guitars, it communicates a completely different dimension. So I think it's a weakness a lot of times in black metal, or just metal in general, where it's I can't hear a damn word that you're saying. But this one, and I always talk about this with synth, they didn't overuse it, I don't think. It started off...
Oh no, I didn't think so either.
It started off very, very light, and then kind of toward the end, but they relied, in my view, they were still relying on their instrumentation and their skill as instrumentalists, and then obviously when they got to the clean part on the vocal on the chorus, I thought that was great, because that was at the 3:46 mark in the song. It was half the song was done, and then boom, you're hit with this clean vocal style. It was, I thought that was pretty, I like that part of it, where they throw something into the music that you weren't expecting. It catches you kind of off guard. I'm off guard a little bit with the vote. It's boom, sometimes with hyper progressive bands, they just throw the kitchen sink at it.
Too much.
Everybody knows how I feel about that.
Yeah.
But this one, the discipline that they showed, especially that little interlude part in the middle, where it was just kind of almost acoustic a little bit. Then they put a little bit of the synth in there. It was a little bit of an oasis. I was just listening to, I think the band is called Archspire or something like that. The drummer, he plays at 400 beats a minute or something. Really crazy, insane, workload. And he talked about that they have these instrumental, interludes in the middle of their fast, heavy songs. And he's I'm just trying to get a break. And that's so true, because a lot of down chugging.
You do a lot of that.
A bunch of that down chugging in my hand. It's so it's I need a break here, and then it's oh well, look at this nice,
You know, like, you're so stoic with your reactions when you're having, like, when you're uncomfortable. I don't even realize it, and then all of a sudden, like, you stop and I see you do this, and then I'm like, oh shit, that must have been hurting.
Yeah,
See that?
some of that is just bad technique.
Oh,
Like,
well.
you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just trying to like muscle your way into the thing when in reality, you just have bad technique, which is, you know, that's kind of been my solution a lot of times. I'm just gonna muscle through this shit instead of, you know, like slowing down and doing the thing the way it's supposed to be done.
Johan on his swimming lessons.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so a wizard, a wanderer, traveler, searcher, seer, sojourner to the lands beyond. You know what this reminded me of? Was the active imagination thing.
Yeah.
Because there's this one guy, he's a lawyer or something like that, and he's like he goes into this world and he's...
Yeah.
Okay, so active imagination is basically... The idea is there's nothing that you can imagine in your mind that doesn't have some sort of connection either to the actual world or to your own subconscious. And this is Jungian stuff, and there's I don't want to say a debate, but variances of opinions among Jungians about
that's Carl Jung's work. I'm sure people probably know, but
right, but
there may be some people that are not familiar.
There's an actual YouTube video of him talking. It's a very difficult. He's very difficult to listen to because his accent and like the way that he phrases things is like you have to constantly rewind. But long story short,
did you hear his upbringing and like his story?
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, but long story short, he was talking about the inner world, which is in your mind. Mm-hmm. He was talking about the outer world, and he goes, okay, the outer world, you know, it's tactile, you can touch things. You assume that is real, and then the inner world in your imagination, that is, even in the term imagination, people think of it as like, okay, it's not real. It's just some figment you put in your head. And Jung, I'm not particularly certain like how clear he is on this, but he basically said, well, no, the inner world is also real. And he didn't say it like it's real in its own way or whatever. He's saying, no, it's real. Mm-hmm. And so based on that idea, the idea of active imagination is where you go into that world and then you meet, almost like a DMT trip, where you meet certain characters, and those characters, if you actually engage with them, will tell you things that end up affecting you in the real world. And so we've been on that kick for 3 or 4 weeks now, and it's been pretty...
I think it's been very helpful. I haven't like taken that time aside to really go and kind of explore. And the last engagement that I had was that direction you had me, you know, try going in, that didn't work for me. Mm-hmm. But I definitely noticed like a difference when, you know, my agitation level is much lower when I get that. It's very short amount of time too. It's only 30-45 minutes. It's not like it takes a big chunk of your day.
But so the reason I'm bringing that up is because there's a lot of imagination here. Obviously, you're talking about a wizard or wanderer, and obviously Jung talks about archetypes and things like that. And so when you look at the whole D&D culture, you know, which is, I'm assuming, is part of the whole dungeon synth thing. When you look at that culture, it's very interesting to me because the worlds are very simple in the sense that there's good guys and there's bad guys. Mm-hmm. There's good magic and there's bad magic. Mm-hmm. You know, and the bad guys are really, really bad, and the good guys are really, really virtuous, and it creates a the world is almost simplistic.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And I think all of us are having a hard time dealing with the moral complexities of this version of reality, whatever that is. And so to go into a world like this, it kind of gives the mind some relaxation. You say, okay,
oh yeah,
that's a good guy, that's a bad guy.
Yeah. And
also with the wizardry and things like that, it's like there are no limits to what you can do in that world. And I think there's a part of humanity that needs that kind of needs that kind of release. And I'm not certain. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to say that. But yeah, it's very, very interesting stuff. Battling foes, ancient and cruel, malevolent creatures of evil, beasts carved from ice, born of malignant witchery. Netherian marauders, gnarled and grotesque, wielding weapons forged in the black sands of eternity. Defeater of iniquity, bane of the wretched, mage and warrior, caster of spells, champion knight, slayer of the wicked, guardian of the eternal well. Wizard wise and powerful, yada yada yada.
See what I'm saying? Like it's mostly a description about the wizard himself, more than it's telling a story of like. I guess in the descriptions you're kind of getting an idea of what he's done.
Ahmad, salam alaikum, buddy. Defeater of iniquity is really interesting. So iniquity is sin. It's badness. So he's a defeater of wicked and the bane of the wretched. Now, I think Kel said that this was the first song on the record, which is very, very interesting because it kind of tells the whole story right from the beginning. If this is the whole record, if this is the first song on the record, because he's battling foes. He's destroying all these bad guys. There's an ancient well, an eternal well, apparently, that he's guarding.
First song on the record, yes.
That apparently this eternal well is important because it's you're guarding something that I'm assuming is giving life to the whole village or whatever. I saw Ian posted something yesterday. He was like, "You remember? Is that her name? Daenerys Targaryen, the dragon lady?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she's got like a paragraph long introduction, like Mother of Dragons, the Unburnt, the Sea of Grass, whatever. Those are really, really cool. So yeah, I really like this song, and I'm very intrigued as to the world that this guy created. And then when I think about like the Dungeons and Dragons stuff, like. Because one of our best friends on the channel, Maida, he does Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
Okay.
And I remember when I first heard about D&D, I'm like, oh, this is stupid, yada, yada, yada. But now that I'm looking at Jung, it's like, this is a very... I mean, playing Dungeons and Dragons is almost like a co-op active imagination session. Mm-hmm. It's just that it seems to me that the people playing it, like, they're coming into it saying, okay, this is clearly not reality. We're just trying to have fun here. But I wonder, like, what would happen if they played that game with the Jungian understanding of active imagination and then saying, okay, everything we experienced here is real.
Yeah, that's so weird. Yeah.
And what the implications would be in this realm, I think would be very, very fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I would, if there was like a local group of people where that was like happening and people could get over their insecurity, because I'm sure a lot of people would be insecure and be like, oh, we're just pretending here, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't know, man, that shit is real. Like, it's really real. Like, the people that you meet in there, and I mean, I'm obviously not going to share with y'all, but I don't know. Has it had like effects on you in the real world?
Well, it does, as far as self-understanding.
Or in this world, or whatever people call this place.
Yeah, it does, as far as self-understanding, because there's just like a lot of ourselves that we don't focus on. Like, there are certain elements of our person that we're just not interested in hearing or working through or listening to or even looking at it. A lot of times it's when certain feelings are connected to traumatic events or whatever, like you just want to put all that stuff behind you, and so you don't even want to focus on it. So it's really taking the time to listen to your subconscious. I was talking to somebody who, oh my God, her story was just absolutely horrible. What she went through, from being drugged to raped, and all of this was on she was on her way to a very close family member's funeral when this all happened. Just a horrible line of events for this person.
Yeah.
you know, and she was talking about how the one thing that she, you know, like whenever you see like rape scenes or whatever depicted in film, it's really horrible. And I think that, you know, unless there's something wrong with you, you can look at that and say that's really, really fucked up what's happened to that person. But you don't see a lot of the aftermath, as in like the people, they don't want to sleep, because when they sleep, your subconscious forces you to face the things you don't want to face. And so, you know, I think that that's true of a lot of us, especially people that remember their dreams. I think that everybody kind of has to face their subconscious in their dreams, but a lot of times people don't remember their dreams, or they've done a really good job at blocking even their dreams out. And some people just, I think, don't know how to even begin to see what their dreams are. Like they forget by morning, but there is work that you can do to remember your dreams if you want to remember them.
Oh, really? There is?
Yeah, I've told you that before.
Maybe I was just skeptical.
And you actually could do it because you wake up so much during the night.
True.
So, you know, it kind of like, it's the subconscious, that part of yourself that you don't focus on, that you don't want to listen to, that you kind of shove off to the side. And it's allowing that part of yourself to kind of free up and be able to, you know.
I'm very intrigued by this Vecna person. He said Vecna turned out to be real. I also love that name, Vecna. Mm-hmm. That's a very, very, very cool name. All right, this song's a 9.3 for me. Very, very strong opening.
I'm gonna go with a 9.
9. Okay. The night has
again,
just...
not my vocal style, but I really liked what they did with it musically, and the way that it made. I felt like I was in. Again, I wasn't reading the lyrics, but I felt like that I was in like a very cold area. There was a castle, and there was a lot of like, you know, there was a wizard, stuff like that was all going on. So yeah. Anyway. Okay. Somebody said, I don't know if you should talk about the DMT experiment live, and I'm not really sure why they would say that. Do they think we're talking about that we were on DMT? And
yeah, I've never been live with DMT.
No, neither one of us have.
I've never been live. So, I don't know what
we're talking about other people's experiences with it when they speak about it. Okay, you guys, that was just song number 1. We've got more to come. Witch Mountain. Whoops. No, it's not Witch Mountain. It's up next. Sacramentum. When night surrounds me is next, losers. We shall return. Shout out to Delaney O'Connell. Vin out. Sori out.
Gone. Potato Man. Potato. Do you guys ever have a break in your faith, lose faith momentarily, or have you both had constant unbroken faithing? I went through I had a failed attempt at atheism when I was in kind of high school, 18, 19, 20. I badly failed at atheism at that point. I failed so badly at it that I never even said, I used to be an atheist. I don't even say that when I talk to my friends because it's bullshit. I don't think I was acting like I was, but I really, really wasn't. But I was not a fan of Christianity, God, whatever you want to call it, at that time.
I've never had like failed faith, but I've been very angry at God for a lot of years. That was real, and that's even something that I'm still like journeying my way out of. I think when a lot of events kind of back to back, and
yeah,
you don't probably have the support that you need, and you just kind of feel like you're just kind of out there, like, and then the understanding that everything that happens to us, that God is behind it. It's not like God sits back and says, oh, look what's happening, or that he allows things to happen, but that God is the cause of things. It can be hard. It can be hard to accept, and, you know, like, sometimes we want to look on the one side of things, like when I had my miscarriage, just saying like, oh, you know, like the baby's in a good place, blah, 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 blah. But then there is the other raw side of it that says, okay, well, I had a baby in my womb. That baby is never going to be in my arms, and how much that hurts, and to know that God was the one that decreed that for my life. other things obviously that went on, and unresolved things. And so I think that, yeah, I mean, I definitely went through that, like, and I'm still, again, journeying my way out of it. I used to like pursue God almost every single day, and then I stopped for the longest time because I was just so angry. And it was hard to be in that place because I'm a very judgmental person. And so for me to see my own self like rejecting God and being angry at God, I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm really good with this. But it was how I genuinely felt. And, one of the things that this channel was a big help for that was that, we talked a lot of times about people that would be raised in a Christian household or in a religious household, and then they would completely go away and they would, join Satanism or all these different types of things that people did. But when you get into the discussion with them, you realize that it was that there were some horrible events that took place in the name of God oftentimes. And so the person couldn't reconcile God and these horrible events, and so they said, okay, well, I'm getting away from it. And that was really the only way for them to be true, and also for them to actually in the end up saving their faith, was because if they were honest about it in the end, that once you work through and you begin to see things from other angles, and I think that the desire for wanting truth is a big thing too. So yeah, so being able to see like those conversations that we were having with other people, mostly Vin was the one that was saying it to them, because I was like, yeah, I'm feeling the same way. So I wasn't really saying a whole lot. Mostly it was him. But when he was talking to people, I was also listening, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's a good point. And so I think that I kind of had my, my loop out to just be, angry and frustrated with God. And, but at the same time, there's like this verse in the Bible that I think about, semi-often, where I think like Jesus said something to his disciples, and it was something that was like a little bit weird, and people were leaving because they were like, what is he talking about? This is too much. And then he looks at his disciples and he's like, are you also going to leave? And one of his disciples looks back at him and he's like, oh, where are we going to go? You're the one that has the words of life. And I think that that's basically how I feel. Like, I think that the time of being angry was necessary, and because it was honest. And but at the end of the day, I'm like, well, who else has the words of life? So I don't think that I ever had no faith, but I definitely had angry faith, which feels worse than no faith. I think, from my perspective, it feels worse, because it feels like sort of like maybe an aggressiveness toward God, and a real aversion to anything that is touched by God. So that it's not a good place to be, and I didn't like being in that place, but I do think that it was a necessary part, and I tried to give myself the space and not judge myself too much for it. So I guess that's a really long way of answering that question.
Yeah, and I'd just say, Michelle, that if the Christian God is real, that means he loves you and your daughter, and he wants you and your daughter more than you love and want you and your daughter. He's not trying to find ways to zap people into hell, and you can't condemn your daughter to hell anyway. I would just say, if I was you at this point, I'd just say, okay, if you're up there, or if you're there somehow, I will follow you if you make the truth unmistakably clear. Mm-hmm. And I think if you challenge God that way, then you can rest in that. Because if he wants you, then he'll make himself unmistakably clear, and he does. So that's what I'd say. So the most often repeated commandment in the Bible is do not be afraid. So I respect God, but he doesn't want us to fear him. So not that way. Mm-hmm. It's one of the worst things in the world. I remember one time I was hanging out with one of my friends, and he's one of these like old school disciplinarians, and he had a surprise for his son, and he called us. He's like, "Hey!" And the kid turned around, and the kid was scared to death because, that was the nature of the relationship at the time. And I remember being in the car with him, and he just completely broke. He's crying. He's like, my own kid is afraid of me. And obviously, in true Vinny fashion, I said, well, what the fuck do you expect him to be? You're so fucking mean to him every 2 seconds. Of course he's scared of you. But it was heartbreaking for him that, you know, their relationship had gotten to that point. So I would say that that guy loved his kid, but he was a horrible father, and even he was heartbroken over that. So how much more a good father?
Yeah.
Anyway, we have another song on the way. Commercial break.
Wait. Well, I don't. It's weird to say Potato Man because I'm not sure it's like Potaman or something. That's what I'm talking about. You had this really horrible event that took place, and then that, as a result, you know, made you come to the point where faith was gone to you. But the fact that you're still asking the question right now tells me that your faith is not completely gone.
That's an act of faith itself. Mm-hmm. That's an act of faith itself.
And I'm very sorry to hear that happen to you. That's
fucked up, man. Fuck those people, bro.
Yep.
In love though. If you're one of those people, fuck you. In love. All right.